Alright, in today's video, we're going to talk about can you and should you overclock your monitor? The answer is yes, and why not? This really only pertains to those of you who are using a 60Hz monitor, as when you're at 144, you're already at really good performance. I have an old BenQ, I think it's actually a Zowie, RL2455 monitor here. It is 60Hz with a DVI-D port and an HDMI 1.4. So with the HDMI 1.4, you are able to actually get up to 144 Hz. So I'm going to be using the HDMI cable here. Like I said, at 1080p, you can get 144 Hz with HDMI 1.4 or above, or if you have DVI-D port, you can also use that. So just like overclocking any other piece of hardware, it can be dangerous, but if you follow these easy steps, it is a relatively safe thing. For those of you who maybe can't afford to upgrade to a 144 Hz monitor at this time, and you are using a 60 Hz monitor, this is definitely worth it. You can usually get up to like 80 Hz, it depends on the monitor. I tried it with this one back before I had my 144 Hz one, and I was able to get it up to like 79 or 80 Hz, I believe, and it definitely is a noticeable difference. So I'm gonna show you the steps on what it takes to overclock your monitor. Let's take a look.
So I talked about it a little bit before, but what exactly is an overclocked monitor? It's essentially just changing the stock refresh rate so you can draw a higher number of frames per second. And the refresh rate is the amount of times per second the screen can refresh the image or frame displayed on the monitor. So the faster the refresh rate, the smoother your graphics transition. And when you're playing games, that can be crucial. So to overclock, we're going to be using a custom resolution utility developed by ToastEX. So hop into your browser, type in ToastEX, and you want to go to the first one, monitor testing the limits. Once you're in here, here's the custom resolution utility, and then download the zip file. Once you have that downloaded, you can open up the cru.exe file, or you can unzip the whole thing too. And then you should see your monitor here under detailed resolutions. You should see your monitor. So mine's 1920 by 1080 at 66 Hz. I already tried overclocking it, but it actually said 60 Hz off the bat. So what you want to do is find your monitor, then hit this edit tab, and down here I would go, so mine was at 60 before, I would go at increments of maybe like 2, 3, 5. I tested mine out, I went in increments of 2, and I found out that 66 Hz is actually as far as I can overclock this monitor. Before I thought I could do like 80, but that must have been my other older monitor that I had. I used to have this Zowie and then another Acer monitor, and the Acer one I think was the one that I was able to overclock higher. Even though I'm only able to overclock this 6 Hz more, it still is worth it, especially if your only option is a 60 Hz monitor. You will notice a tiny bit of difference, especially if you can get up to like 75, 80. I'm just gonna start with 66, but I would go in increments. I've already done that, so once you find out where you wanna go next, hit OK. Hit this OK down here, and then in the zip file, depending on what operating system you have, if you have a 32-bit, you want to use the restart exe, and if you have a 64-bit operating system, you want to use the restart 64.exe. And what this will do, will restart your graphics driver, and then you'll be able to see your new updated refresh rate in your options. Alright, so I didn't even think about it. My video kept cutting out. I'm like, why is it doing that? But when I restart my graphics driver, then the recording stops because I'm using GeForce Experience. But anyway, so once you successfully reset your graphics driver, you want to go into your display settings, your advanced display settings, and then your adapter properties, and under the monitor tab, so I'm at 60 Hz here, and my overclock is 66 Hz. So we will apply it. If it works, the screen will go black, come back, and ask us if we want to submit those changes. Otherwise, if it doesn't work and you try to overclock too high, it's either going to freak out. Mine actually says out of range, so that's how I know I went too high. So I'm going to apply it. I already tested it. 66 Hz is my limit, so I want to keep the changes. So even though I can only overclock 6 Hz compared to the stock 60 refresh rate, if you're using a 60 Hz monitor, anything above 60 you probably will notice. Now if it's like 61 Hz, you're not going to notice, and 66 you probably will barely notice, but it is going to be better than the stock 60 Hz. So even if you can get like 10 extra Hertz out of it, it is definitely worth it. So we're gonna hit OK here, and then once you do that, go back into Google and just type in refresh rate test, and under the UFO test here, you want to go to refresh rate, and this will calculate it and just verify on screen that, there we go, I am getting 66 hertz. So very easy, about 6 steps. And depending on your monitor, you can actually get up to like maybe in the high 70s. I think 80 you can maybe hit. It just depends. So go in small increments, get it to that top hertz. So even if you got to go to like 1 at a time, it is worth it.
So if you guys enjoyed that video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If this is the first time you've been to my channel, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe. I got a lot of videos coming up. We got the CRT monitor against a modern 144 hertz gaming monitor. We have the new Death Adder V2 review coming up. I got another keyboard type of video coming up. So stick around, guys. I appreciate you checking it out. Till next time.